everyone, it's Alyssa and this is Always Cinema Chic, the place that encourages you to go out, get dressed up, and watch a movie. So I saw Blade Runner 2049 last night and there is no use wasting time. This is the best movie to come out this year. In fact, this movie is skyrocketing to the top of my favorites list of all time. So Blade Runner 2049 stars Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Mackenzie Davis, Ana de Armas, Sylvia Hoeks, Wright, and Jared Leto, and it's directed by the great Denis Villeneuve. His direction for this film is just outstanding. So part of what made this movie so great is that I didn't know anything going into it, so I'm going to keep the plot description as vague as possible. So the movie starts 30 years after the first film, and what we find out is that in 2021 there was a replicant rebellion that created this blackout, and basically all files on replicants were erased and they all got to start from zero. As a result, there was a ban on making replicants altogether, but in 2036 Meander Wallace, who's played by Jared Leto, he creates a new type of farming which kind of saves the planet, and as a result he wants to create this new version of Nexus because he believes that slaves are needed to kind of rebuild not only our world but the off-worlds as well. Only his creation will obey, and that's the big difference with these replicants and the replicants that we've seen from the original Blade Runner. Ryan Gosling plays Kay, who is a Blade Runner, and his whole purpose is to go track down Deckard, and that's all I'm going to tell you. I went into this movie knowing absolutely nothing. I'm so glad I did. The trailer was great because it just gave you the feeling of the setting, but it didn't give you any plot points. And let me tell you, this movie, there are spoilers right from the first 10 minutes. It had me hooked from the very first scene. It was incredible. So what I'm going to do is a second video where I do an analysis of the film with tons of spoilers, but for this one I just want to keep it totally spoiler free and just tell people what they would be walking into and what the movie kind of feels like more than plot points at all. And the one thing I really would recommend is that you go back and you watch those 3 shorts, because to me they're integral to the viewing. Yes, you can just wait for the movie and they tell you everything that happened on the first screen, but to be truly immersed in it and see those 3 shorts, it made me feel so much more like I was a part of the film. And this has to be the most immersive feeling film I've ever seen. And so much of that is due to the DP. So that's Roger Deakins, and he is just phenomenal always. Anyway, his resume includes True Grit, Fargo, Prisoner, Sicario. His movies are just beautifully shot, and this is probably his best. So there's a ton of use of these kind of muted orangey yellows and these neon blues, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And the movie also takes a lot of visual cues from the original. So we see the light and dark bars of the shadows on the characters' faces, which shows the prison that both the replicants and the humans are in. And then you also see so much of the water symbolism throughout that we're used to, but this is not in any way a copy of the original. I really looked at it as an evolution of the original, and the set design is just incredible as well. There's one part where you're in what looks like Las Vegas and it's completely been destroyed by a dirty bomb, and this kind of yellowy orange muck in the air. It's beautiful and it's disturbing all at the same time. As you go through this world, which seems to be desecrated due to human destruction and selfishness, you can't help but feel the visceral sadness of this universe. And that's another evolution with this film from the last. While the first movie I felt was very dark, the sequel is so much more somber and isolated, and that's only heightened through the music, which is really stark, and there's just a lot of sounds in the first 2/3 of the movie, and then you get more into the score in that last third when characters start to come to realizations, and the performances are just so isolated and lonely feeling. I felt like I was welling up every few scenes in this movie. I couldn't help but cry by what was happening to these characters. And that really brings me to the performances. There is not one actor, no matter how small their role is, that is nothing short of brilliant. And that all starts with Ryan Gosling as Kay, who really is the heart of the film. And this only proves what a diverse actor he really is. He is in almost every single scene of this 2-hour and 43-minute movie, and I really felt like he was able to carry such a hefty movie. I mean, there is melancholy, curiosity, love, and anger all brimming beneath the surface of the character, and every once in a while he must let it out, and those moments absolutely knocked me out. Without going into specifics, he and his girlfriend Joy, played by Ana de Armas, are the absolute heartbeat of this movie. I've seen de Armas in other movies before, like War Dogs, and I didn't think she was really that great of an actress. And then I saw her here, and she just blew me away. She has all of the optimism and the life, really, that's needed in a film like this. You desperately need that kind of heart and that vivacity, and she gives it 100%. And then you contrast that with a character like Love, played by Sylvia Hoeks, and she's just so stoic and frightening in this movie. And Jared Leto, even though he's not in that many scenes, his performance is absolutely magnetic, and I felt his presence throughout the movie, even though he really wasn't in it that much. And that brings me to Harrison Ford, who I really think gives one of the best performances of his whole career. He gets some truly emotional moments in this film, and the vulnerability that he has is kind of unlike anything I've ever seen him give before. And just seeing that the character was so important to the plot, and he wasn't just a throwaway character as a connection back to the first movie, made me so happy. And next, I just want to take a second and really acknowledge how incredible Denis Villeneuve is as a director. He has now earned a spot in the same ranks as Christopher Nolan, as someone who can get such artistry and beauty in his film and create characters with such emotional depth while still being really accessible to mainstream audiences. I really don't know how he does it. So at this point, I think he should be able to make whatever movie he wants to make with whatever budget he wants. He should just not be questioned ever again, because I trust him with whatever his next move is, which incidentally is Dune. So he's definitely on a bit of a sci-fi kick right now. And I'm so happy that Ridley Scott did not direct this, because I really think that Villeneuve's vision of Blade Runner is even more spectacular than the original. I mean, only Villeneuve knows how to take settings that are kind of very cold and distant feeling, but he really does add a bit of warmth and emotion with the characters. Like when I think of Enemy and I think of Prisoners, he really achieves such incredible and emotional performances from his actors, and he does that here again in spades. And I'll also add that the special effects are mind-boggling and seamless. Not to give anything away, but there's a scene where two characters have to merge into the same body, and it was mesmerizing and heartbreaking all at the same time. It was quite a visual image to watch, but the special effects and the action, they're not there to just entertain the audience. Every scene kind of moves the story forward and is necessary in terms of developing the characters, and I loved that the action and the special effects really added to the story here. Now, I am going to be furious if this movie does not get a slew of Academy Award nominations. It really deserves for picture, director, cinematography, actor, supporting actor with Harrison Ford, editing, sound editing, production design, and visual effects. This movie just blew me away on every level, and it's really time that a quality science fiction movie gets the recognition that it deserves, because science fiction has always been there to sort of gauge the fears of our culture, and this is perhaps one of the best science fiction films I've ever seen in my life. And even beyond just science fiction, this is definitely one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. I'm obsessed with it, and I've only seen it one time. I can't wait to just go back again and again. So now time for the grades. I don't think there's going to be any surprises here. So for the film and artistry, obviously I would give this an A+. I would give it an A++ if that were even a real grade. This movie takes the genre and moves it forward drastically. It's absolutely revolutionary, and I think this world is even more fully realized than the original Blade Runner, and I hate to say it, I think this film is actually better than the original Blade Runner, and the plot still adds so many more questions to what constitutes humanity and existence, and I think this is a film that people are going to talk about for years and years to come. And in terms of watchability, which is how much I enjoyed it, obviously I'd give this an A+. Even though this movie was so long, I didn't find that it was dragging for even a second. In fact, I just wanted to be in this world even longer, and doesn't that mean that it's a phenomenal film? I plan on seeing this in the movie theater at least 3 times because it is the kind of movie that you want to see in a theater. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time and actually watching these reviews. That means a lot to me. Keep an eye out for the next video, which will be the analysis and discussion for the new Blade Runner. Like and subscribe. If you've seen the movie, please leave a comment down below. I can't wait to start talking about it. And remember, it is always in fashion to go out, get dressed up, and make it a cinema chic night. Bye everyone!